CR101radio.com, podcasts, and more.
20. How to be a failure. Part 4. Indulge in criticism. September the 29th, 1953. Good morning, friends. We've been spending some time this past month in discussing the ways and means of being a failure. Last week, we saw that one of the easiest roads to failure and frustration is worry. The man or woman who worries is his own worst problem. If you are a worrying person, the real problem in your life is not those things which have happened to you or might happen to you, but your own doubting heart. The trouble with the person who worries is this: they depend only on themselves, and any man who trusts in himself has ground for worrying. But the man who trusts in the Lord has grounds for serene confidence. His troubles are being handled to his ultimate good by a loving God. This morning, I'd like to suggest another easy road to failure. If you want to fail in a hurry, indulge in criticism. Criticize everything and everyone except yourself, of course. The beautiful part of it is that once you start criticizing, there's no shortage of things to criticize. This person's nose is too long and hers is too short. That man needs a haircut, and this woman talks too much. One person is too homely for words, and another is really stuck on his or her good looks. One thing about being critical, nobody may love you for it, but you're bound to have an audience most of the time. What does it mean to be critical? We have to go back to Adam and Eve to answer that. They give in to the satanic temptation. Ye shall be as gods, knowing, that is, determining good and evil. Genesis 3:5. In other words, Adam decided that there was no need of bowing down to a god in heaven when every man could be his own god and decide for himself what would be right and wrong. Instead of God being the only true judge, Adam decided that he himself was the only real judge, and so he immediately began criticizing, as a false judge will do. He began by criticizing Eve as no account, and then he criticized God for giving him such a woman. The critical man is like that. He criticizes both God and man, because, in his own heart, he has made himself God over all. And since he is God in his own eyes, he sets a standard for everyone to meet and spends his time judging and criticizing them because they obviously don't meet his standard. As a result, such a person is intolerable to live with. Absolutely nothing can ever be right unless it is done exactly as he wishes it done. He cannot tolerate the freedom and independence of anyone connected to him because he believes that he, as God in his own eyes, must be all in all to everyone else. The critical person trusts no one except himself because, according to his warped and demonic logic, no one else is a god except himself. This is the meaning of the critical spirit. It is a sin-filled man setting himself up as a god and judge over both God and man. The critical man is therefore a lonely man. No one else, obviously, is a god like himself, and it's a lonely life living on his Olympian plane. The result of this loneliness is failure and frustration. The acid of his criticism eats out his rotten heart, and all his pleasure is synthetic and needs artificial stimuli. The true Christian, however, avoids this failure. When Christ comes into his heart, he surrenders all claim to being judge and Lord and makes Christ his God and Saviour. Instead of judging people, he now loves them. Instead of criticizing others, he forgives, knowing that Christ has generously forgiven him. The true Christian is more troubled about his own faults than the faults of his neighbour. Instead of being impatient with people, he is now patient because he knows God has been patient with him. He sees himself not as a little God, but as a sinner saved by grace and rejoices in the goodness of God through Christ. He can say with Paul, When I am weak, then I am strong. 2 Corinthians 12:10. That is, when I see my littleness, then I trust not myself, but the Lord. The Lord uses the humble and the weak of this world to confound the proud and the mighty. Thus, the way to end failure is to humble yourself under the mighty hand of God, and He will exalt you in due season. Then you can say with David, I trusted Thee, O Lord. I said, Thou art my God. My times are in Thy hand. O how great is Thy goodness, which Thou hast laid up for them that fear Thee, which Thou hast laid up for them that trust in Thee before the sons of men. O love the Lord, all ye His servants. Be of good courage, and He shall strengthen your heart. All ye that hope in the Lord. Portions of Psalm 31,